Hello, and welcome to episode 119 of Flix and a Six. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Costanzo, with me forever and always, the man, the myth, the crossbow boy, Alessandro Belsi. Say hello, Al.
Proclamation. Henceforth, all good wine will be referred to as unicorn juice.
On this week's episode, more Witcher news, Steven Spielberg's ridiculous net worth, Matrix 4 spottings, and other news and nuggets, all before diving into our flick of the week, Birds of Prey, and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn, or Harley Quinn Birds of Prey, depending on the day. But before that, Al, what are we drinking?
Yeah, I saw that too, but then I saw that said they were changing the title of this movie, which I don't understand how it's not like it's going to change a single dollar that you've earned. Like, they've done enough promotion that everyone knows this damn movie is out. Right. They're either going to see it or not. That's neither here nor there, though.
We'll get into that argument when we get to the movie.
Anyway, we're drinking Middle Ages Swallow Wit. Swallow space Wit. W-I-T.
Not Swallow It.
Yes. Though I imagine that's
Swallow
intentional.
It. Not Swallow It.
I imagine that was intentional.
Well,
it's a beer I've never heard of before, but I saw two of them sitting in the make your own six-pack rack, so I made us two six-packs.
Right. Nice.
I know nothing of this brewery. I know nothing of this beer. This beer has nothing to say to me, which is upsetting.
There's zero information on it.
Doesn't even tell me the alcohol content. Doesn't even tell me the IBUs.
Is this even beer?
The thing is, it claims to be a wit, but when I opened it, it smelled like American lager, which is not encouraging.
Yep, 100% what I smelled when I opened it as well. I was like, first off, the beer cap didn't want to come off, so that was one thing.
Mine came off.
It was almost as if it was glued on, and then it was like, is that Budweiser?
Yep, that was the first kind of experience with that I had as well. And
then I poured it, and I got chunks.
Well, the funny thing was, you told me, let's drink something that's good and that doesn't have chunks. I still have the taste of chunks in my mouth from last week. I've never had this beer before, so I didn't know if it was good or not. I just figured, let's do it. Birds of Prey, there's a bird on this.
You nailed it.
Let's do it. And I poured it. I was like, that looks fine. It smells like Budweiser, but it looks fine. And then I put it down, and then 3 minutes later you said, I got goddamn chunky beers. And I looked, and sure enough, all of a sudden there was chunks floating in there. I don't know where they came from.
In the documentary that's made on the show years later, there's gonna go back and they're gonna be like, the bird on the bottle. Like, they're gonna be like, wow, they even thought of it. Like, they went that deep. Which is really funny, because the reason I'm saying that is I know for a fact that there have been numerous times where we've picked a beer and afterwards realized how fitting it was.
Yeah, no, this one I did on purpose.
I appreciate that. I will say, I do like the label. There's a little bird drinking a beer, or carrying a beer.
Yeah, he's holding a pint of lager.
Cute, which is great. Which is definitely not wit.
Yeah.
Shall we see what this one's all about? Cheers.
It tastes like someone who was trying to guess what goes into a wit.
The beer has a bit of an identity crisis.
Like, I definitely taste some Belgian wit in there, but it's lost among some other things.
Yeah.
One of them is, and I still have never done a good job of figuring out what it is, but that thing that sometimes leaves that coppery aftertaste, that blood aftertaste, like actual human blood. Mm-hmm. It was common to a couple of.
What other blood did you think was on my mind?
No comment. It was common to a couple of those beers we did from Crooked Hill. So I don't know what that is that does it. It still smells like Budweiser.
I wonder if it's the type of keg they put it in.
I don't know. I mean, I wondered at first if the smell, I was wondering if it was because of the corn that they use in American lager. But you definitely shouldn't put corn in a wit. I mean, I guess you could do anything, but you're not supposed to.
I'm getting a flashback. There's a movie. It might be Independence Day. I'm not certain. I'm going to need your help figuring out what this one is, and I hope you remember, because it's going to drive me crazy if we can't figure it out. But the guy blowtorches. He tries to cut open a keg with a blowtorch. And then as soon as he's done, he touches it with his hand. He goes, "She's cold as ice." Is that... What movie is that? Was that Independence Day? Was that Mars Attacks? What?
So you're just picking random alien movies in the Midwest,
Yeah,
or the Southwest from the 1990s. But actually, the first thing I thought was National Security.
National Security.
Steve Zahn and Martin Lawrence.
Oh, wait. Was it Blue Streak? It might have been the Martin Lawrence train got me going.
Did Martin Lawrence do multiple
maybe it was
movies?
National Security.
Did Martin Lawrence do multiple movies in which a major plot point was blowtorching a keg and finding out that it was secretly not stainless steel, but actually...
Wow. Okay, so that's what that movie was about? Then that's 100% what this line is
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was National Security.
Wow. I'm glad you're here. I don't... because that would have killed me, because I don't even know where to start Googling.
That's not a very good movie, but I've seen it too many times. I saw it a lot when I was young.
I don't remember the movie at all.
There's not much to remember.
Why do I remember that scene? I think it's just the ridiculousness of... I think what I pulled out of that is he blowtorches metal and then immediately touches it with his bare hand.
Well, because he was trying to confirm his suspicion. The whole point was they thought that they were investigating something like really serious involving the CIA, but it actually was an aerospace company with the same initials as CIA. And it was serious, just not the type of serious they thought. And it concerned some gang or mafia, whatever, stealing like really rare, like expensive metallic alloys that are worth a ton of money that this aerospace thing used. They were a contractor that helped like build shuttles for NASA. And so they were stealing...
I have zero recollection of the plot of
So they were
movie.
stealing the metal and turning it into beer kegs to avoid suspicion.
This is the movie. Okay, that part I remember.
And the guy is blowtorching it, and then he immediately touches it because it was metal that's meant for re-entry into the atmosphere, which needs to be able to handle absurd temperatures. So it disperses it instantaneously.
Oh my god.
It's a really bad movie.
All the movies I could have guessed that we'd be talking about tonight, that was not one of them.
Well, the thing is, I actually saw like 5 minutes of that movie a couple of weeks ago, too, and I was like, man, I haven't seen this in at least 10 years.
Was it that scene? Tell me it was that scene.
No, it would be fun. No, it was like the very beginning of the movie, actually. And so Steve Zahn is a cop whose partner gets killed in the very beginning, and it's by the guys who are doing this like crime spree. And Martin Lawrence is in the police academy, and he gets thrown out for being wildly unfit to be a police officer and causing a lot of damage. And Steve Zahn arrests him because he thinks he's stealing a car. And Martin Lawrence thinks he's stealing the car because he's black. And they get into this whole big fight, and, well, this whole argument, and there's people watching him across the street, this and that, someone took a video of it, and it looks like, so what happens is he's talking to him and arguing with him, a bee comes and flies around above him, and Martin Lawrence is allergic to bees.
Yes. Oh my god, I remember this.
And Steve Zahn is trying to swat the bee with his baton and like stomp it, and it looks like he's beating the shit out of Martin Lawrence. But Martin Lawrence gets stung by the bee, and he gets all swollen, so it looks like he was beaten.
That's right.
And then the two of them end up becoming partners as security guards, and then doing this investigation. Got it.
Okay, so now I vividly remember the beginning. I vividly remember the keg scene, and nothing else. We'll get there. By the end of the episode, we'll get the whole movie.
Really
all right.
Remember anything. It's not a very good movie.
Moving on, this beer, going back to the beer, is okay. It doesn't... I don't know what it is,
It's thoroughly adequate.
It tastes good, but not for what it says it is.
Yeah, the problem is, you don't know what it is because it doesn't know what it is.
Right. All right, Middle Ages. This is what they serve at medieval times.
I mean, it would make sense for them to create a partnership. This is from
Random
Syracuse,
in a glass. Oh, that's not that far. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. What would you? Are you going to rate this beer? What's this going to get on Untapped?
I'm actually thinking about that now because I realized I forgot to log on the Flix and the Six Untapped last week's beer, which I don't even remember what it was now. Polycrip?
Yeah.
Devil's Purse?
Devil's Purse.
Randomest tattoo in the world?
Yeah. Not as random when you know that it's like a thing that washes up on the beach where he grew up.
Fair.
Huh? Long walks on the beach.
That's adorable.
You know? I don't know. That's now I'm embellishing the rest of the story. Now I'm imagining it's Will and Damien sharing long walks on the beach, collecting these devil's purses.
Okay, I can see it.
Purse-eye?
No, it's definitely purses. Purse-eye.
All right. Shall we get into some news and nuggets?
Yeah, sure.
All right, I came across this article on Men's Health. Steven Spielberg. This is from Men's Health by Temi Adebowale.
Men's Health has one of the worst websites ever, and I just mean like the user experience.
Oh yeah, this is in the Apple News app, so it's much easier.
So many
to
pop-ups,
consume.
Slows down.
I don't do pop-ups.
Not super stable. It's really annoying.
So the headline of this was Steven Spielberg is the highest grossing director in the world, and I was like, okay, I'm actually kind of curious to hear some of these numbers because like that sounds that I imagine they're ridiculous.
Yes.
So I think we're gonna play a little Price is Right game here. We're gonna have an early edition of games where you're gonna give me a number, and I'm gonna tell you higher or lower, and you've got like 3 guesses to get like in a general ballpark.
Okay.
Sound good? Steven Spielberg's net worth. What's your first guess?
$6 billion.
Lower.
5.9. $3 billion.
Higher.
$3.5 billion.
You win. It's $3.6 billion. It's intense. The article goes on. As a director, his movies have grossed a combined $10 billion worldwide, which is just bananas.
He's also made a lot of movies, though. And that's half of them are really big box office ones, so...
Yeah, that's true. And then if you add in being a producer, that number goes to $25 billion. This is just insane. Can you imagine just raking in the cash?
Jeez.
I can't even fathom that amount of money.
Well, I would say, because I've seen in the past, there's been rampant speculation, and it sounds like it's been way overshot, but people thought Larry David was a billionaire because Seinfeld is, the most ridiculous, syndication, or at least it was one of the most ridiculously syndicated shows, and the amount of money it raked in. And he is, I think, worth, over $500 million. And that's just one guy with one TV show. One TV show! Yeah. No one is as prolific as him. Just the one thing.
That's insane. The amount of money that doesn't even I can't think of what that even means.
Yeah.
It's insane. But anyway, yeah, he does make it. The man makes a tremendous film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe a couple whatevs here and there, but
well, when you've made 40 feature films, a few of them are bound to be less than good.
Sure. Yeah, usually somebody that's making an incredible. I guess that's maybe where the money makes sense, right? Because there's directors that I feel have Christopher Nolan, let's take, doesn't make a lot of movies. He's very opinionated about the movies that he makes. It seems it takes his time, does them the way that he wants to do them, does them right, and they're usually incredible. With one exception, I didn't super care for Insomnia.
I never saw that.
The rest of his movies I adore. But that's that's a lot fewer than we're talking with Spielberg. And I guess if you're able to do this, that's just his craft. He knows how to do it, right? He's been doing it forever. Yeah. You can churn more out, but he started off good. So you have that background. That's just incredible. What a catalog.
Oh, absolutely.
It's really insane.
For both quality and quantity, it's really hard to ask for more, and that's why he has so much money.
Yeah, good for you, Steven. I'm going to go on to another interesting one that I came across. This one was this came up on BuzzFeed. It's not so much the article that I'm interested in as much as it is the concept. The article title was 21 more movie scenes that would have won the Academy Award for Best Movie Scene if it was a real thing. And that got me thinking, that should be a category.
You know how much argument would be over that?
A singular scene.
You know how much argument would be over that topic, though?
There's argument over everything already anyway.
I know, I'm just saying that one would be wild, because, first you get into even just how you define a scene. Is a scene 30 seconds? Is it a minute? Is it 10 minutes? What is the length? A moment of 2 seconds? How long exactly does a scene last?
I don't think that matters as much as, you could put up nominees for them, and then, pit them against each other. It would be fun. Because there are plenty of times when I go and watch a movie, and I'm like, damn, that was a good scene. And then the movie ends, and I'm like, no. The movie doesn't necessarily have to be good for it to have an incredible scene, and I feel like it's another way for something to have, a shot at recognition at that higher level.
Sure.
which it could like really highlight a specific part of a performance where maybe like the rest of the person's performance was brought down by the rest of the writing, which happens in a lot of movies. I feel like if the movie's all over the place, you get one great scene, or maybe if it's plagued by bad editing or after the fact changes. You know, we hear a lot of stories about movies dying on the cutting room floor and things like that.
Yeah.
Like sometimes with those movies specifically, you'll get like a scene that's like, holy shit, like in the middle of it.
Now, with this proposed category, embolden or quiet down the people clamoring for the Snyder Cut?
Christ.
Can cut footage that didn't make Final Cut be nominated for the best scene?
Okay, now you're introducing an entire other category, which we can do, which is best deleted scene.
So
that'll be at our ridiculous award show.
I was saying we can all agree best deleted scene is the one from Step Brothers in which Rob Riggle dies and then comes back to life.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like don't even know how that didn't make it in the movie.
It's just because it breaks the flow in such an odd way. Because that's a really short scene in the movie, and it becomes a much longer one with that deleted scene. But it's hysterical.
It's so good. It's so good. Do you want to hear some of these?
Sure.
Let's scroll through.
So give me like the top 5 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if these are in order, but No Country for Old Men, the first coin toss. It's fair.
Okay.
The Color Purple, Sophia's monologue.
Never saw it.
Requiem for a Dream, The Room Cleaning.
Never saw it.
Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, The Disappearing Memories. Solid.
Never saw it.
The Wife, The Final Monologue.
Never saw it.
This is why I thought it was interesting. I went through this, I was like, great concept. Let's dive in.
You know, Eternal Sunshine is on like
the Staircase.
I never saw The Untouchables. I should really see that and Eternal Sunshine. I've wanted to see that one for a while and never got around to it.
I'm down to do an episode on Eternal Sunshine when the new release dies down and we have a break. We'll do one of those. That'll be solid. Apollo 13, Houston, we have a problem. That is kind of, I feel like, on the cusp of what you were talking about before. Barely, it's like a line.
Yeah.
It's not so much a scene. 500 Days of Summer, Expectation versus Reality.
Okay.
Terms of Endearment, Give My Daughter the Shot. Good Will Hunting, It's Not Your Fault, 100%.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. I'm not going to go through the rest of these.
I'm surprised they didn't go with How About Them Apples, though.
I mean...
No, it's not your fault, it's the one.
The other one that's on here is You Bow to No One from Return of the King.
Oh, nice.
It's a pretty solid scene.
Yeah.
But I think it's a cool concept. I think that maybe while I'm watching movies this year, I'm going to try to think about that and see if I can come up with a few for the end of the year roundup, and we could decide the best scene.
Fair enough. I'd be interested in doing something like that.
You got a news nugget?
Well, it sounds like I have an overlapping new with you about The Witcher.
Ooh. Yeah, let's talk about that one. That's more well, it's a half and half really.
Yeah.
But go on.
I was like, because I saw this and I was like, ooh, I know we've been doing a lot of Witcher content over the weeks, but already we're getting all this casting news. Is that what yours is about?
Oh, mine was about rejections of a role.
Oh, well then let's start with yours.
Okay, so last week we talked a little bit about Mark Hamill is probably going to play Vesemir.
Oh.
I don't think it was solid, but it sounds like it's close.
I think I saw a lot of people saying they wanted him to, but I didn't know if it was actually a thing that was happening.
Oh, that's another thing. A lot of these articles, I've talked about this before on the show, and with you specifically, that like I feel like a lot of the times, and we're doing the same thing here, really. Like there's so much information.
Yes.
Right? And it's like you can corroborate the source a number of times and it could still be completely wrong because they didn't do it.
Well, the problem is a lot of these...
Or they did it the same way.
I would say a lot of these small sites, unfortunately, don't do two-factor like corroboration stuff. So if you run with one source and everyone runs with the same one source, that's true. How these like fake stories go around for so long. If no one gets secondary confirmation. Did no one see The Newsroom? Because that happened in the internet age. And everyone knows
doctored the tapes.
You have to make sure you have multiple sources.
So anyway, the way that this particular article phrased it, and now I'm not going to go into detail because I don't want to like if it was bad, that's not good. But anyway, they made it sound like Mark Hamill is a likely contender for the role.
Okay.
Not that it was pitched, but the role was Michael Keaton and Mads Mikkelsen were approached for the role, and both declined. But I was thinking about the two of them. I think Michael Keaton could really nail it. I think Mads Mikkelsen is a little too intense for what I know the character to be. But again, I don't know the character that well. I only know it from the small amount that I've played The Witcher 3. But
yeah,
I think Michael Keaton would be a solid choice.
I don't know the character. Mads Mikkelsen can do softer, though. I thought he did a good job dialing it back in Rogue One. Also, it would be cool to get him and his brother in this together at the same time.
Yeah. I will say though, like I think that I kind of hope that Mark Hamill makes that work because he is actually like a perfect choice for what I would picture it as, especially like the way that he delivers things and like he's just a little bit like as even when he's trying not to be, he's always got a little bit of campiness to him, and like that I feel like that'll fit with the show. Yeah, and the character and the relationship him and Geralt have. I don't know. That could be really. Cool.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would appreciate Mark Hamill having some more fun, being in some cool other things that we enjoy. So.
So what was your Witcher news?
Oh, so I have some actual, like casting news. Maybe not 100% confirmed, but sound like they're very close to being confirmed. The first thing I have here is Christopher Hifju, who was Tormund Giantsbane in Game of Thrones. Seems likely to be cast in the role, the cursed character Nivellen.
Okay.
I don't know that name.
Don't know the character name, but love that guy.
Yeah, me too. And he is perfect for this sort of show if he's going to keep, especially if he can keep that beard. So they said he's been. There's reports that he has been cast under the mysterious moniker Nigel, which is believed to be a code name for the cursed character Nivellen. The outlet claims to have procured a casting sheet. This is Redanian Intelligence, which I've never heard of before, which describes Nigel as a charismatic, witty, and funny man who is from an aristocratic family. He's been cursed for the crimes he's committed in the past. The details of the character profile appear to match Nivellen's backstory shared in Andrzej Sapkowski's short story entitled A Grain of Truth, which sees Geralt of Rivia stumble upon a rundown manor inhabited by a monstrous cursed nobleman known as Nivellen. This goes on to say that the second season has an ever-growing cast alongside Peaky Blinders actor Paul Bullion, who's been reportedly cast as Lambert, and Strike Back star Yasin Ator, who is apparently set to play Cohen. And there was another one that we have, I believe, seen that was confirmed. Carmel Laniato, who was in that terrible-sounding Robert Downey Jr. movie that just came out to play Violet, an all-new character described as a young girl whose playful and whimsical demeanor is a front for a smarter and more sadistic character.
Ooh, interesting. I am really excited to see where that show goes.
Yeah.
And did I forget, 2021?
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say, because for some reason I had it in my head earlier today that it was 2020. I was like, that can't be right, because we keep hearing all this news and like digging on characters, like it's not going to be done, and so 2021 makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're supposed to start shooting somewhat soon, but it's not going to come out until next year.
I like YouTube, right? You like YouTube?
Sometimes.
I go on YouTube a lot. Watch tech stuff. Watch DIY stuff. A couple of times I was searching for Witcher things, and now every time I go on YouTube, there's one or two suggestions of somebody singing Toss a Coin to Your Witcher. And every single time that I catch one, I watch it. They're so good. There are so many good covers of that song.
Oh, there's now a lot of covers because one cover got a lot of notoriety.
Yeah, that's just so many. They're good. There's a lot of good ones, and it's I love it. I love this weird phenomenon.
It's a good song.
And then when you especially when they're singing it super seriously, but you can't because of the words. And
it's hard to take it seriously when you say "and he will be bleat" or whatever it was, or you can't be bleat.
And that and mince their tender meat.
Ah, yes.
That's another.
Mince their tender meat is just ridiculous, but they be bleat or whatever it was as a play on words was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, I kind of want to rewatch it.
Yeah, I think I probably will, because I know...
Maybe closer to the second season.
My mom was interested in it, and I had watched the first episode with her after having already watched the whole show, and I'm sure I'll get back into that with her periodically, so...
I'll see if Kim gets on board with it. I'll watch it. My Knives Out Steelbook is up for pre-order, and I can't wait to watch it again.
Yeah, that's one I'd be excited to see again. See how it holds up when you now know where everything goes.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it comes out. I think it's next week, next Tuesday, 2 Tuesdays. Oh, I think it was supposed to be next week, and then I think. Oh no, it's next week. I'm pretty sure. And then, end of March maybe. The release date dropped for the Rise of Skywalker DVD. I don't care. I don't know if people care about DVDs. I do. Yeah. But mine's pre-ordered. Got my little steelbook coming.
Nice.
Pretty excited about it. Got to complete the collection. For now. Give me a new.
Okay. So this one actually isn't a new so much as two slightly related nuggets.
Okay.
So first, I'm going to go with the first one, which is the less important one. So I saw a tweet. It was a quote tweet from Regal Movies on Twitter. It said, "You have a magic wand that grants a sequel to any movie you choose. What's your pick?" And the person who retweeted it onto my timeline quote tweeted it with, "How come like 99% of the replies to this are Alita Battle Angel?" Like he's like, "What's going on there?" And so that's funny because a couple of months ago, I don't remember how I fell down this rabbit hole. I don't remember if I saw another tweet like this, or if I followed a hashtag, or what I was doing, but I saw this phenomenon online like 3 or 4 months ago. There is a obsessed subculture online who loved, like absolutely adored Alita Battle Angel, and are just constantly tweeting about it, or on Reddit or whatever. I think it was on Twitter though. Just constantly pushing for, like, first of all, like talking about how much they loved the movie, and then constantly pushing for a sequel, of which there is nothing proposed as of right now. Even though it seemed set up for one, and it did not super great in America, but it did really well internationally. And I have no idea what this is about. I don't know if they're all bots. I don't know if it's...
How does this happen?
I don't know if it's like 10,000 people who just loved it worldwide. I have no idea what it is. But that movie has a rabid fan base, and I do not understand it. But
that's ridiculous.
That's not super important. I just thought I'd bring it up because it's such a weird phenomenon to have encountered completely accidentally twice in the last 4 months. The more important part of this is, in response to this tweet, someone replied to this tweet and said, "Scott Pilgrim vs. the World." And so Regal responded to it and tagged Edgar Wright and said, "Same, please, Edgar Wright." And, oh no, I lost the tweet thread here. Hang on a second.
No,
I found it. Okay. And Edgar Wright responded to Regal and said, "You say that like I just happen to have $60 million in loose change on the bedside table, parentheses, I haven't counted it, but I don't think it's that much." And then someone else responded to him and said, "Personally, I'd prefer a sequel to Baby Driver over Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, but I love both these films." To which Edgar Wright said, "You may get your wish on the former, ellipses."
Interesting.
So we may be getting a Baby Driver sequel, which had been rumored from shortly after that movie, the first one, came out. I don't really understand why we need a sequel to that one, though.
No, definitely
would say I don't really think we need a sequel to Scott Pilgrim either.
No. You could just make another movie.
Yeah, just do something new, different. I
want an Edgar Wright sequel. How about that?
Yeah, I liked Baby Driver a decent amount. It actually hasn't lived up on replay to me as much.
Baby Driver 2, all grown up.
Man Driver, yes.
Man Driver. Boy Driver.
Yeah, that's true. That would come first. But I loved Scott Pilgrim, and I don't really need a sequel to either of them.
I don't really know what you would do with it. It's just such a great. It's a whole story. You don't need a sequel when there's a whole story.
It was a whole completed story.
Do you have something? Is there something you want a sequel to?
I was thinking about trolling and saying The Last Jedi, but no, there's something that I could. I don't know.
I guess if you're waving a magic wand, you can do that.
Yeah, I know, but I was just more afraid that I was going to get doxxed so I didn't do it. I don't know. I'd have to really sit down and think about it, because the problem is, like, some of my favorite movies, like Scott Pilgrim, don't really lend itself to, like, a sequel. Like, one of my favorite, absolute favorite movies is Cloud Atlas. Don't need a sequel to that. Absolutely love The Departed. Don't need a sequel to that. I absolutely love The Two Towers. There is a sequel to that. The story ended with it. I mean, there's other movies that I love, but not all of them lend themselves to sequel, really.
Mm-hmm. If we're going magic wand route, my magic wand does something that, you know, your wishes and magic are not supposed to do, and it brings somebody back from the dead. I really would love to know. I loved The Dark Knight Rises. I know that I'm in the minority of, like, when it comes to loving that movie, but I would love to see what the sequel to The Dark Knight would have been.
Yeah.
That's what mine would be.
I could see that. That would make sense. I think the thing is, I think a lot of times that's the case. See, I'm kind of the opposite of you. I think a lot of people would probably use that magic wand to erase something that exists and erase something like Matrix 2 and 3. I liked those movies. Yeah, they're not as good as the first one, but I don't feel betrayed by those movies in any way. I legitimately enjoy both those movies. I think they're good to very good movies.
Yeah, I enjoyed them. I didn't hate them when I saw them. I know people get mad talking about those.
Yeah, I know, and I don't get what is so, like, even though I've disagreed with a lot of it, there's much more weight to people who feel betrayed by some of the Star Wars movies that have been made since the original trilogy than there is to that. I really don't understand the hatred for the Matrix sequels at all.
Yeah. It's strange. It's almost like they don't know that they're allowed to like things. Like, they don't have to be perfect, but you could like it.
Well, that's kind of the personal crusade. Not that I'm, like, going out and fighting battles over it, but it's kind of the personal crusade that I've gone through with this sequel trilogy of Star Wars movies. Like,
yeah,
I am disappointed with 2 of the 3 of them. I'm really disappointed with 9, but I still enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I still think it's good. It's not great to me. And I think there's enough, factual evidence to say it's not great. But, if you really enjoyed it, that's fine. I enjoyed it, but I'm still very upset with how it all ended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would have preferred that it not taper off the way that it tapered off, but I enjoyed it more than most.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. This is what people should do, Al. You know what they should do?
Enjoy stuff?
Enjoy stuff. You brought up the Matrix.
More on that later.
The last nugget that I have here is that their stunts were caught on film from some folks filming with cameras and whatnot.
I saw one behind the scenes thing of, I guess, I don't know if it's a motorcycle chase or just a motorcycle ride, but
oh no, this was like 2 characters jumping off a building that somebody caught on a cell phone.
Oh, nice.
It was pretty cool. It looked like I would assume from the look of it that it's Neo and Trinity, but I
can tell you that the one I saw, the thing that I find odd is that Keanu Reeves still has the John Wick appearance in this video I saw. Like, he still had his long hair and beard.
Interesting. Well, maybe it's real world versus. Well, no, because you saw, like, if it was actually outside, then it wouldn't be.
Well, I know he was on a motorcycle, so.
Yeah, okay, good point.
Well, at first, I wondered if.
You could program that in, though. You could change your appearance.
Sure. Yeah, like, you could get rid of a mustache, say. Hey, we're back on better terms with Henry Cavill. Let's not go there right now.
It's not his fault.
No. I just mean it was endemic of a larger problem that we had with him and that whole franchise.
Sure.
I wondered if this was actually behind-the-scenes footage from one of the John Wicks, because he's on a motorcycle and this and that. But apparently, and I couldn't see close enough, but in the video it said it was him and Carrie-Anne Moss on the platform, so.
Interesting.
I guess that means that it has to be from The Matrix.
Huh. Well, I guess we'll find out. When does that come out?
The same day as John Wick 4.
The same day?
Remember we talked about this a few weeks ago on the show?
No, I must have been out of it.
I think it was the week before we did Flix and a Whisker 2.
That's stupid.
Parasite?
Dude, double feature action that day, I guess. Haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah.
The last time I did that was A Scanner Darkly and Superman Returns. Both of those movies were not good. And it was a long day.
It's funny that you should bring up A Scanner Darkly, because I have been thinking about that movie lately, and I never saw it. There's a very specific reason why I've been thinking about it, which we will hear about more very soon on the Spin Tune.
Dun dun dun! Article tease.
Yeah.
Love it.
On the topic of article teases, I posted today my review of Season 1 of High Fidelity, which was so good.
Is it spoiler free?
It is. Well, you'll appreciate the spoiler thing I put at the top. It says light to medium spoilers. I think they were very, very light spoilers for the most part. There was some
just a dusting.
There was some implication.
Okay,
but I don't think I did anything in there that was egregious in the sense of real tangible spoilers. I didn't think, but I was pretty happy with how it came out. I was very happy with that first season of the show. It's a quick watch. It's 10 half-hour episodes. Hulu is...
Is it a funny show? What kind of genre are we working with here?
I would call it a dramedy.
Okay, cool.
It is definitely...
That's my lane.
Very funny, interspersed with quite serious. Although, for the most part, I found it to be a relatively light affair. But as it gets towards the end and, we're really deep in people's feelings, there's some...
So, lovesick genre.
Yes.
Okay.
I could see a decent parallel to Lovesick overall. I do think at times it got a little bit more serious, but there's no dramatic deaths or...
I'm just dying for you to give me the next Lovesick. I'm dying for you to come back and tell me season 4 is out. I'm like,
but we've said we don't. It seems very likely that we won't get, unfortunately, another Lovesick.
No, that's fine. I'll just have to rewatch the series, and honestly, that's a solid use of my time.
Well, somehow I saw it 3 times already, so...
Yeah. You'll revisit in a couple years.
I'll probably revisit sometime in the next 12 months.
Nice.
But anyway.
So good.
Yeah, I love it. But anyway, High Fidelity, really, really good. That is a UN Kim show.
Excellent.
I really enjoyed it, and I didn't expect to enjoy it that much. It was really not even on my radar until all of a sudden I read one quick thing that was oh, this is so good, and I read the pitch, and I was like, I think it'll be really your style, because what I said, it was kind of stray thoughts at the end of my review. I got elements of some of the Edgar Wright stuff, BoJack Horseman, and Lovesick's a good one. I forgot there was one other thing that I mentioned that it really reminded me of, but I really enjoyed my time with it. It was over really quick, and I'm looking forward to another season.
Nice. Do you have any other news and nuggets?
We have one other news / nugget, the French Dispatch.
Okay. Oh.
Did you see the trailer?
About this. I did see the trailer.
What do you think of this
trailer? It is absurd. I love it. I adore it. I'm just so excited. I believe... I don't know. I didn't give you any context because it was hours later, but I recently sent you a text that just said, I'm giddy. That was after watching the trailer.
Oh, yeah. I think I just stepped out of the shower when I was trying to grab my stuff to bring it downstairs, and I completely forgot to respond to you. I was wondering what that was about. I was like, what is he kidding over? There
was so far when I've watched, I've only recently watched his movies, or some of his movies, right? When we saw Grand Budapest Hotel, that was the first one that I saw.
That was also the first one of his that I've seen.
And then after that, I watched another one that I can't remember the name of. Kids in a Camp and crap. Anyway.
Is that Steve Zissou?
What? No.
Okay.
I don't know what. I don't remember. That does not sound like the name of the movie that I watched. But anyway, it was good. And I just there's something about after watching I feel like I was watching Grand Budapest Hotel, and I was turning and looking at the people next to me this is so good. Do you not this is so good? And one person was asleep.
Oh.
And one person was enjoying it, but not. I feel like you needed to be there, is what I'm saying. I needed the you to vibe off of, because it's so good. And then I was like, I guess I'm on my own with this one. And then I watched another one, and I felt the same way. And I didn't pretend that there's going to be other people that are going to want to watch it with me. And I just focused in. I don't know what it is. There's some movies can evoke a certain emotions, feelings when you watch them. His movies do something weird, and like I'm like elated watching.
I'll tell you the word: whimsy.
It is coattails in the wind.
His movies are whimsical.
And you think I killed her?
It was in the trailer, and that was what sold me on going to see that movie. I still laugh just as hard every time I see it.
God, that movie's ridiculous. I can't wait to see this.
But yes, this had extremely that. I mean, they all have the same kind of vibe. They are kind of all the same movie, and yet all do something completely different every time. The only other one of his that I've seen more than 5 minutes of is Isle of Dogs, which was good. I would like to see some of the others, like the Darjeeling Limited and Was it Moonrise Kingdom? Is that the one you're talking about?
That's the one.
Okay. The one that seems, just from the very, very little bit of it that I can tell, like significantly different than the other ones is Rushmore. I still kind of want to see it, but I eventually I want to make time to see all of them, but I probably haven't given them the priority that they deserve.
Man, I'm excited. You dropped that one on me out of nowhere.
Yeah, I figured. Well, I think I sent it to you and Brian last week, but I know last week you weren't feeling great, so we kind of skipped some of the news nuggets stuff that we normally do. So I didn't bother bringing it up for the show. But I had to refresh myself on the trailer. But I mean, just the insane cast that they put together for these movies. Like,
oh yeah,
how many of these people like just want to come and show up for 90 seconds?
But yeah, like that's the thing. It's like when these actors come on screen and like you can just tell they're having a good time. Like I've seen that with a handful of directors. Like he's one of them. Taika Waititi is clearly another like perfect example of it. Like people like to work with these guys. Like they do something really fun. When does that come out? I'm very excited.
I think in a few months. I don't remember actually what the date was.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Do we have time for Mr. Robot?
I don't know. We can push it another week if you want to, but if you're ready,
it's up to you.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
Okay.
I don't have any other news or nuggets, so
I don't either. So
okay.
My final thoughts, finally, on Mr. Robot. Finally.
Oh boy, finally.
Teased for months and then weeks now. Let me start you off with a tweet-length review.
Okay.
A dark and thrilling tale that consistently keeps you on the edge of your seat, and more importantly, keeps you guessing up until the very last scene. That's all I have to say on the Fun Games. No.
Okay, hang on. Okay, up until the very last scene. I feel the way that you pause and phrase it. I thought you were about to tell me like it keeps you guessing up until then, and then you just figure it all on your own.
No. So here it was an interesting experience. So you saw the first season of Mr. Robot, and you said you saw a couple episodes of the second season?
Yeah, I don't remember. It could have been half. It could have been more. I don't even...
Okay. So, because I think the first 3 seasons were all 10 episodes each, and I think the final season was 13.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. Now, we're going to get into a little bit of spoilers in for first season of Mr. Robot, just to draw some parallels here. So if you guys haven't seen it and want to see it, the first 3 seasons are all free on Amazon Prime. 4th season was only finished a few months ago, so I think you have to pay for that. I had access to it on demand. But in the first season, right, they tee up a lot of storylines, a lot of characters, and a lot of mysteries in that very first episode of the first season. I was able to figure out a few of them. Guessing you probably were then or very soon after as well. Because as much as I think they do a good job with the mystery and everything is consistent, there's a fair amount of foreshadowing and implications for if you've ever seen any other stuff that has mystery stuff in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I didn't actually think that the big twist was that big
for the first season.
The first season.
Yeah. No, I didn't think so.
So the second,
it just gets the twist of the first season gets a little bit. It gets a little bit heavy-handed as the season goes on, to the point of like if you haven't figured it out by now, you weren't watching. Yes.
So obviously, like I said, we're gonna do some spoilers here. Mr. Robot isn't real. It's in Elliot's imagination. He's got multiple personalities, or is hallucinating a second personality, right?
That was I believe the first episode ended, and I turned to Kim. he's not real.
So that was something I kind of went through the same process as well during that first episode. There was another smaller, also related twist, obviously in the first season, which I saw half of coming, not the second half. I knew that it was tied to the fact that that it was probably a multiple personality situation, because he clearly had an established relationship with these people that he was misremembering or not remembering, right? So I knew that was what was going on. What I didn't know was that Darlene was his sister. That shocked me, and the way they deliver it is very Skywalker-esque. What I didn't see coming was any of the twists. Well, not any of them. The major twist in the second season, which is actually kept as a better secret, and I think was an even more important and impactful one. And third was a much harder one to see coming. But as soon as it happened, I was like, I've had these alarm bells going on in the back of my mind this whole time that not as all as
wrong. Something's wrong.
Yeah, not all is as it seems, and we know that's going to be the case because we saw the first season, but they were much more coy with it in the second season, and so when that one happened, I was like, oh boy! Because then I went through that whole thing, when you see like the montage in a movie where someone comes up with a big reveal and then you see all the scenes and you put it all together. That happened and fast forward in my mind, and I was like, whoa. So I ended up really liking it. Now, I would say there wasn't really the same thing like that in the third season, although for some reason, I think plot and thematically the third and fourth season are so interconnected, more so than the first two.
Oh, really?
Even though it was a very cohesive and coherent show from start to finish, like it never feels like it suffers from like its own personality disorder, right? Where sometimes shows like feel wildly different in tone or whatever from first to second season. They had continuity in the writing room.
So did 3 and 4 feel like a season A-B type thing?
To a certain extent. I mean, they are very sequential, but I felt the two of them blurred in my mind. Like, I forget some of the events where they took place. Like, was that late third or early fourth or vice versa? Stuff like that. But it's all really good, and it's progressively gets darker and darker, still maintaining a balance of having a bit of levity. But as far as big and awe-inspiring as the story and the scope is, we're talking about world-shattering events. It is really a show about one person's trauma and getting over it, and the people in his very tight-knit circle who help him or are affected by his own suffering with all of that, and him coming to terms with all of it. And the audacity of this show in both of those storylines, the big world-shaking stuff and the little life-altering stuff, is incredible. Like, it's when you look at it, when you take a step back from it and look at it all, it's like, holy shit. And it's a type of show where you could say maybe some of the things happen or don't happen. You can get into those arguments the way you would at the end of like an Inception. I think it was fairly straightforward. I'm inclined to believe that was the case in this one. But what I found incredible about the finale was, like I said, the whole idea of keeping you guessing till the very last scene it's a dangerous game to play, because there's a really fine line you have to walk, because you can leave too many loose ends, which is actually something I felt was true of The Leftovers to a certain extent.
Okay.
I really liked that show. We talked about that a few months ago, how much I enjoyed that show. Some people like adore it beyond all belief, and in certain aspects of the show, I feel that that's the case for me. People view it as like a pitch perfect finale. I was actually less impressed than some other people. Still enjoying it, still think it was a good finale, but I didn't think it was as life altering. For me, my money, I still think maybe Breaking Bad might have had the best finale of anything. Although ultimately, Mr. Robot, just for satisfying everything that needs to be satisfied and having the audacity to go there, and some people end up happy and some people don't, and it's an optimistic ending overall, even if not everyone ends up with the happiest ending.
Sure.
I think that this walked that line between leaving too many loose ends like maybe The Leftovers did, but also not ruining it by explicating everything and leaving some mystery or some imagination. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a really tough thing to thread, and I think they did it.
We've talked about that in the past. I mean, because we've done a crap load of movies, but like there's there is leaving some mystery, and then there's leaving the core as the mystery, and that's just not okay.
Yeah.
So like if you're leaving a few threads that you can reasonably come to your own conclusion about, that's fine. You can't leave the whole thing open, because that means you didn't know what to do.
I agree. Although I can understand the temptation in certain shows where we just went so big and our following is so big that, you know, you say sometimes with these sorts of things, some people are going to be upset with it or whatever, and there's times where you risk too significant in a group of people being upset with it, so I can understand, you know, if maybe you just feel you're inadequate to finish the story. Like, things can get out of hands, right? You lose the reins and the horse is dragging you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I can sympathize, even if
I just pictured that.
Do it.
I pictured that in like a silent film style. Just want you to know that. And now you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, black and white, and then like
the crackling screen and the
I can,
and it was you.
Oh,
to be clear,
not someone. Who's
no, you were the horse, and you were dragging me.
Oh,
no, that just adding that.
Weird. It's weird. I can understand the temptation, right? Like, hey, this has gotten too big for me. I don't think I can like land this plane anymore. So maybe I'll just fly off into the sunset and hope for the best, you know?
Yeah. Nothing to see here.
Yeah. But I think this show completely wrapped at the end. All the major storylines are satisfied. Even if everything isn't 100% explained, although they do explain a lot of them. And sometimes some of the explanation is, even that is like, it's sufficient for closure, even if it isn't enough for satisfaction. And that's super important. And there's room for not the show to go on. The show is done. There doesn't need to be any more. Like, had they chosen to push off some things, I'm sure they could have like kept the show going longer, and it would have been fine. I think I'm glad they didn't, even though, you know, of course I'd like more.
Sure.
But at the end of it, you know, there's still a world here. I think sometimes we kind of run into with some of these shows when it ends, it's like, okay, you did a good job finishing the story, but how does this world continue to exist after the camera switches off, right? Like, to a certain extent, I feel like Game of Thrones, that was true. Harry Potter, like, that was true. Like, we don't need more stories, and I don't even know how you would do them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a... You know, I don't know why. It leaves me feeling a little weird. But, I appreciate it. What I was left with at the end was... I shouldn't have like actually enjoyed the show so much for how dark some of it gets. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
You know what I mean? Like, when I'm saying literally, like the word joy, like not that I would say I felt elated during some of the dark stuff, because I certainly wasn't. But like, sometimes when you're watching something that heavy, it's like, man, this is really good, but I kind of need a break from it. I never felt like I kept wanting to come back for more, even while I was
good.
Man, this is dark. Tell me what happens next.
Well, what happened?
Yeah, because, like, I mean, so, you know, from watching the first season, like, he sees a therapist, right? And at a certain point, he stops seeing her, and then goes back in with more therapy with her later, and you finally get drilled down into what it is that makes Elliot tick, and it's like, oh boy. Like, I feel like I need a therapist to get through his therapy sessions.
Oh, okay. So, but what you're saying is I have to finish it.
I would strongly recommend it, yes.
I think I'm going to have to start over, though.
That probably makes sense, or at least watch, like, a 15-minute recap of the first season.
Yeah, I think getting this continuity and the style back would be helpful.
I did think one of the coolest things about it was it had one of those, like, you kind of play a game with yourself, or the shows, you play a game with the show, like, when you wait to see how the show opens and when they're going to decide to do the title card. Because there was one episode where, like, I swear it took 15 minutes to get to it.
Yeah, it's in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
Or they forget and then the credits roll.
Yeah. Could you imagine that? Like, the title
Mr.
card
Robot,
shows
credits.
Up and then credits. That would be cool. No, because most of the times, you know, sometimes it was in the first 60 seconds. Sometimes it was 3 minutes in. And, like, there was one of them where it was, like, 18 minutes in or something like that, it felt like. And I was like, Jesus.
Yeah. That's...
It's just a hell of a ride. I mean, it's really well acted, and it's really, really well written. It's definitely stuck with me.
Nice. I'll get back to it. That makes me excited to get through it. I think there was I don't know why we stopped. I don't know if there's like other stuff going on or we were watching other things, but we just kind of drifted away from it and then never went back.
Yeah, that's a weird experience when that happens, right?
Yeah, because like I remember the show fondly. That's why I think it's so strange. It's like I don't have a bad attachment to it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it just seems like the type of thing you would have stuck with, especially if you were like, you know, like, it's only 4 seasons of it, and the 4th season ended like a few months ago. So it's like, if you were watching it basically like contemporary with when it was airing, like maybe a month after or whatever. But like, it's not like you had to catch up on 8 seasons of it or something like that.
No, you know what I think? I think what might have, now that I'm thinking about it, what might have happened was that we binged the whole first season, and the second season was on, and we were catching up, and then when we caught up, and we had to wait a week, and then wait a week, and I think that's when we drifted away from it.
Okay.
Like, because then it was like, we missed a week because we were doing something, and then like, we didn't catch back into it, and then it's like, and then just kept putting it off, and then ultimately never finished it.
I see.
But, I think... That sounds like what happened. I vaguely can remember the time in my life when we were watching it, so I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But okay, I'll have to go back to it. That's makes me happy.
Now, you started watching or restarted watching BoJack, right?
I did.
How far did you get into that?
Just a couple episodes. It is good. It's very good. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's absolutely absurd. You know what my favorite thing about it? It's just like the really dumb thing, like these humans and these animals live together. There's no question about it. It's just how it is.
Yep.
But they still do animal things. My 2 favorite things so far have been he's smoking a cigarette and goes, and when to blow out the smoke. That was hysterical. And then the other thing was he's at Peanut Butter's house and the doorbell rings and he goes, "Someone's at the door! Let's go see who it is."
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Peanut Butter is the one that you see most commonly doing animal things because you see him the most of all the animals.
Okay.
I guess with the exception maybe of Princess Carolyn, but she doesn't really do cat stuff that often. One of my favorite things with her is they give her these tongue twisters to do, and she totally nails them. And I can't think of any of them off the top of my head because it's not something I would ever be able to do. Like, I'd have to practice it for 10 minutes to get it right. And like there'll be like really, really long ones. I think my favorite stupid joke that just took so long to set up, and I almost missed the punchline, and if you missed it, it's like, you'll never think to go back and look for it. And I saw it, and I was like, oh my god, and I literally had to pause it, like just sit and like stop, and like it wasn't like I was laughing, and that's why I just had to stop and live it with the moment for a second. Because I was like, there's no way what I think just happened. And I had to rewind at 90 seconds and watch it again. And then once I confirmed what it was that happened, I like just lost it. Was dying laughing. It was this whole setup. The whole episode, I think the episode was titled Thoughts and Prayers.
Okay.
And you know how like that happens whenever there's like a big tragedy, right? Oh, thoughts and prayers. So this was about all these like mass shootings. And it was a series of production meetings and stuff like that with a bunch of different characters. And it seemed like literally every 5 minutes in the course of a day, there was a mass shooting. And everyone's getting the alert, and everyone, thoughts and prayers. And then like in the middle of like a pitch meeting, in the middle of like hashing out like a script for a show, like they were trying to cast a show, like stuff like that. And a couple of them, so J.K. Simmons plays Lenny Turtletop, famed producer Lenny Turtletop, who is
perfect.
It's a good role for him. And him and Princess Carolyn walk out, and Todd is left in the room with a bunch of other execs.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pause for 1 second there. That's the other thing. They're not just animals. They have pet, like the names a pet would have. That's what's also great.
Yeah, like Mr. Peanut Butter.
Like, and Princess Carolyn.
And Princess Carolyn, yes.
So, okay, go on. It's so stupid. I love it.
I think my favorite, actually, animal name is Tom Gumbo Jumbo. The Keith Olbermann voiced whale newscaster.
Oh, yep, I've seen him.
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt's Neil Seal or whatever it was.
Patton Oswalt actually voices a lot of different characters over the course of the show, I think.
Excellent.
Some of them recurring. But so Todd gets left in the room with like these writers and executives, and there might have been an actor or two in it, I forget. And Princess Caroline and Lenny Turtletop leave. And I don't know if they asked him to stall or like keep everyone occupied or whatever. I think he was the one who pitched the show originally. And they come back in, and he's in the middle of a pitch to everyone at the room. And he's got like one of those big like flip notebook storyboard things. And he had, like, drawn stuff on it, and he was explaining really earnestly and passionately. And you're like, what is he talking about? Because you come in mid-thought, right? Mm-hmm. And he goes, so if you take these shoes, they're like those old... I should remember what they were. Were they the Air Shocks or whatever? Remember those shoes that you squeeze them and they gave you more support?
Pumps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he goes, the only way we can deal with this is to give everyone these... shoes, and once you pump it, you'll be able to run faster than their bullets.
I could see what I probably would have had the same reaction if I was watching it by myself. I would have been like, wait.
It's great because everyone knows that song. I remember, but like at the point I was watching it, because this is from a couple seasons ago. It's like 8 years after that song was popular.
Oh yeah,
and it's
that's
like
tremendous.
It took me a second, like it just rattled around in my brain until it just stuck, and I was like, "Oh my god, they're really doing a Foster the People joke, like a super earnest Foster the People joke."
That's pretty great. That's pretty great. So a couple of things that have really tickled me so far. You had said we talked a little bit about animals doing animal things. Princess Caroline is on the phone, and she's got on her desk like a scratching post with a mouse hanging from it, and she's just swatting at it while she's talking to Bojack. Yep. That was hysterical. And the other thing, do you recall the episode? It's very early in the first season where he takes the muffins off of the apples in the produce section. And the SEAL that's coming home from Afghanistan went to the bathroom, and he had dibs on those muffins. Do you recall this?
No.
Well, it gets into this whole thing about how he doesn't respect the troops, and he stole the muffins. And
of course.
He when he gets home, he eats all of them at once. And they're talking on like later on, it's on the news, and he calls in because he's getting furious at the way they're talking about him, and he says that he's like, "Couldn't you just return them up?" He's like, "I already ate all of them." And then he goes into this, he's like, you ate, how many muffins were it? It was like 4 muffins? And he goes, no, it was, and the SEAL was like, I know how many were it. It was a box of 12. And he goes, you ate 12 muffins today? And he launches into this entire thing about having no self-control, and like he really, like, he's basically breaking down in the scene, but in a very comical way. Yeah. And that was like one of those glimpses of what you were explaining to me of like the show is dark.
Yeah.
Like he's got issues, and and they all come to the forefront in that scene, but it's so funny as it's happening.
So that's what's the genius of this show is over the course of the 6+ seasons, because it's the last season was a longer season or whatever. It's an experiment in the whole, like, pot in a boiling... a frog in a pot of water boiling, like, increasing temperature by 1 degree, where they don't feel the change in temperature until they're boiled and cooked alive, right? Yeah. The show does that to you, where you're like, oh, that was kind of dark, but then it's like, hey, look over here, we got funny stuff going on, and it's like, oh, cool, whatever. Like, yeah, we'll take the good with the bad, and it is what it is. And the ratio keeps changing incrementally over the course of the show, where they're still giving you the funny, just less often, but it's still there. Like it's never like full blown.
You're not going to completely miss it, but you'll notice that it's dying. Yeah, okay.
But instead of it being like 60-40 comedy dark, it ends up like 70-30 dark comedy, and it's like, oh, when did that happen? Like, fuck.
That's one of the reoccurring things is like his need to be like the center of attention, right? And like his agent is like, I have to go to another client. He's like, you have other clients?
Yep.
And then he's in the hospital in this scene, and the doctor comes in and tells him what he needs to do. And, and he goes, I can't do this right now. I have other patients. You have other patients?
Yep. And it's all those little things that just seem like one-off little gags of self-involvement you find out are full-blown, traumas and character flaws that he has to work through. And it's like, wow, I didn't realize, like, the warning signs have literally been there from the first episode. And it's, it's feature and bug sort of situation.
Yeah.
But there's just so many great running jokes or running things. One of my favorite ones is, they did it more in the first couple of seasons. So you've probably already seen it once or twice even. Anytime that you're on TV or you see TV with one of those morning shows, it's hosted by a Ryan Seacrest type.
Mm-hmm.
That man's name is a Ryan Seacrest type.
Yeah.
Like, that is his legal birth name. And it's like, you know what? How do you not just fucking lose it and laugh at that? And, like, his co-host is always like, a stereotypical blonde or something like that is her name. And then, like the next season, it's like another blonde or something like that.
God. I'm going to watch more of it. For sure. No, I'm a little hooked right now.
Did you see when he steals the Hollywood D?
No, not yet.
Okay, because it does happen, I think. I thought it was within the first 3 or 4 episodes. Maybe it was about halfway through the first season.
Well, it could be. I think I'm only 2 or 3 in. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So very, very silly.
That's the best,
very silly,
stupidest running joke. Just everything becomes Hollywood and no one asks a question.
I love it. Shall we get into some fun and games?
Let's do it.
All right, Al, for you, I have, which Birds of Prey character are you?
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Choose the wild animal you'd love to have as a pet, assuming it wouldn't murder you. Hyena, snake, bat, tiger, leopard. I'll stick to dogs, thanks.
I'll go with I'll stick to dogs.
Okay. How would your friends describe you behind your back? Funny, kind, confident, ambitious, independent, or intelligent?
Jeez. Talk about getting deep into the neuroses here.
Just go, I don't know, and you shove the microphone off the table and run away.
I don't know. What do you say behind my back?
These are all good things.
Yeah. I don't know. Kind, I guess? I don't know.
Okay. Which musical artist would you choose to create the soundtrack of your life? Stevie Nicks, Beyonce, Cher, Mary J. Blige, Lady Gaga, or Rihanna?
Stevie Nicks.
Choose the color that speaks to your true aura. Purple, green, red, yellow, blue, black. Not a color. Reoccurring thing on this, on these quizzes.
Black, darkness, no parents.
No parents.
Green.
The opposite of light.
I'll go with green.
Choose the DC comic hero you want to hang out with. Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, Batman, Cyborg, or Shazam.
Let's go with Shazam.
Choose an activity to do with your friends on a Friday night. Get dinner and see a movie. Order a pizza and have a slumber party. Go dancing. Do a planned group activity, like a wine tasting. Start an underground fight club. Drink, drink, drink.
Let's do a planned activity.
Okay. And a little wine tasting? Sounds fun.
Yeah, why not?
Can I come?
Sure.
Sweet.
Sip on some unicorn
juice? You're kind. You know that?
What's that?
I said you're kind. You know that?
Oh, thanks.
And finally, choose a literal bird of prey.
Oh, nice.
Owl, falcon, vulture, hawk, eagle. No thanks. Birds freak me out.
It's a shame there's no, like, osprey or something. Falcon.
Falcon. All right, let's see who you are. You got Black Canary.
Okay.
While you can be a little kept to yourself at first, you have a voice that demands to be heard, literally and figuratively. You're calm, cool, collected, and always on the top of your game. It's kind of funny.
It's funny, because that, I don't know if the character herself fits me, but that description does.
I dig it. Awesome. With that, shall we get into our flick of the week?
Yeah, let's do it.
Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, released in 2020. Rated R, with an hour and 49-minute runtime. Rated R? We're going to have to talk about that in a minute. After splitting with the Joker, Harley Quinn joins superheroes Black Canary, Huntress, and Renee Montoya to save a young girl from an evil crime lord. It's a pretty accurate plot. That's your IMDb synopsis. Now, shall we do our tweet length reviews?
Yes.
As we open the show. Would you like to go first?
Sure. Good, but more importantly and accurately, it's fun. Weird, fun, funny, and thank God it doesn't take itself too seriously.
Okay. Interesting. I feel like you're probably going to have liked this a little bit more than me. I liked it, don't get me wrong, but we'll see. We'll get there. Here's mine. A handful of good ideas and interesting takes on Stitch Together. Sorry. I like ate my words. A handful of good ideas and interesting takes on characters that we haven't seen in a bit, stitched together in the only way the heads of the DC film franchise know how. Badly.
You can definitely see some seams in this movie for sure.
Yeah. The 5 out of 10. That's my rating here.
Oh, okay. What
about you?
I went with 7 out of 10. I think I was probably a little bit generous with it, but I enjoyed it. It was solid.
I think there's a lot of solid pieces. Well, there's 3 particular solid pieces that really elevate the movie and might give you a little bit of blinders.
Yeah.
But I think overall, there's basically what it comes down to. There are certain performances that are tremendous and really entertaining, and they really nail their version of the character.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. It's plagued with the writing is not good. I do not care for the writing in the movie.
There's definitely times where it's bad. Yeah.
I do not care for how they moved the plot along, which was another weird thing here and there.
That was my biggest criticism with it. Is there's some times where everything just came to like a screeching halt, and it's like, okay, I don't mind taking a second to kind of slow it down. Let's figure it out. But like, if you know what it felt like, is it felt like we were doing micro doses of cocaine, and it was like, whoa, so much action, and then just nothing. And it's like, whoa, coming down.
Yeah.
A little bit of cocaine. Coming down. And I was like, can we balance this a little bit? It's like when you first learn how to drive and you step on the brake and the gas too hard, and neither of them for long enough time, so you're just like, yeah. It's like,
the movie is decidedly not smooth.
Yes.
That's perfect. It's also it's plagued by a marketing team being involved way too early and way too much. I feel like marketing had too much say in the movie. And also kind of shows with the renaming of the movie in the 0 hour.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just such a weird thing. That whole name change thing is for SEO purposes, so that you could find the movie better when you search for it. And it's really stupid. We know what we're like. If you know, if you're interested, you're already interested. I don't think that people are going to be going out searching for this thing.
Well, there's 2 things. 1, if you're interested, you're already interested. 2, they promoted this movie sufficiently. If you had the ability to see promotional material for this, you would have seen it by now. You're not just going to find it. And the thing is, if you search Harley Quinn, if you search Birds of Prey, if you search DC, Margot Robbie, pick your word, you're going to find this movie.
Right, it's going to be right there.
Rearranging the title, now if you want to say that the title was too unwieldy, this and that should have been done a long time ago. And it's not going to change a thing. There's no one who saw the movie on the marquee and said, there's too many words in that title, I'm not going to see it.
Right, because they didn't print all those words on the marquee. Didn't fit. Right. There's only limited real estate up there.
Yeah.
But what a strange decision. Margot Robbie is perfect as Harley Quinn.
Perfect. You know what? Her accent annoys me a little bit at times, but other than that, yes.
I like it because I feel like it's a just a more modern take, or a more New York take on the Harley Quinn from the animated series.
That's what it is. It was how much fake New York there was in it.
Yeah, which is if you want to talk fake New York, let's talk about Montoya. Oh my God, I could not stand her accent.
But the thing is, isn't she real New York?
No. Well,
I'm like 95% sure.
It was a caricature of it.
That may be the case, but the thing is, yeah, she's from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
The thing is,
and people that are actually from the New York area have the word. It's just I don't like the accent. I grew up with it.
What I'm saying is, liking it is totally different than putting it on. The point is, unlike Margot Robbie, it's not fake. That is her voice. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah. I understand. Either way, I don't care for that one. I think Margot Robbie's was kind of fun.
Well, the thing is, hers was kind of a moving target. So, like, there were certain scenes and certain line deliveries where it didn't bother me at all. And there were some where I was like, okay, let's just dial it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, it's so funny because, like, she's so good at this character, and I feel like if we could just take her as this character, just pull her out of this, like, let's stop being bound to this existing DC franchise universe. Like, it's gotta die. We gotta let it die.
I mean, for the most part, I thought they did, though.
Yeah, but it's not, because it's clearly in the same spot. It's in the same universe as Suicide Squad.
Yeah, but, like, we didn't see any, or at least I didn't see any Easter eggs, any of them. No one mentioned any dead shots or...
Oh, no, there was an Easter egg. What's his face? The one that, the kangaroo one. They called him Kangaroo something or other.
Yeah.
Anyway, his posters on the wall in the police station.
Okay, but, like, that's such background noise, I didn't even see it. You know what I mean? Like, no one, like, name dropped him. Like, no one, like, made, like, an oblique reference to him. Like, I'm not offended by someone putting a poster in the background like that. It had
but it's also,
well,
the entire core of the movie is a character that was in that movie.
Fine, but the point is, all of the ties were left behind. Like, because we didn't even get any flashbacks to the Leto Joker. Like, the point is, he could have been any Joker. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't have to be that Joker.
But it was that Joker.
Sure, but that's your baggage. That's not the movie's baggage.
No, it's the movie's baggage, because they're still trying with this universe, and they've killed it. They made it bad.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this movie did kill that for all intents and purposes. This isn't ever going to filter back into that, I don't believe.
What's going to go on with the Suicide Squad sequel?
I don't know. She's not in it, is she?
I don't know.
I didn't think she was. No,
nope, but just the fact that that's...
So never mind, I take that back.
That's there, like, this is not separated. Imagine the Birds of Prey will return in the sequel to Suicide Squad.
See, I just figured they would do a sequel to this with them, or do their own spin-off with them.
Maybe, but even so, I don't know. There is something about this Gotham that I don't care for. I don't think it's the worst version of it on screen. Yeah,
I mean, we saw sunlight in this movie, so it felt like a different Gotham at least.
That's fair. So I have here Margot's Harley Quinn, Mary's Huntress, and Ewan's Black Mask are just that's the triumvirate for this movie. They're so good, the three of them. And even though one of them barely gets any time, they are so great when they're on screen.
Definitely.
Ewan McGregor is having a blast in this role.
Well, the thing is, I thought a lot of them were, which is part of why I thought this movie was so fun, was it looked like they were having fun, so why wouldn't I? Or conversely, I feel more comfortable sitting down and watching this because it doesn't look like anyone's holding them there against their will. Because, like, you know what scene could have really showcased someone looking like they were being held against their will, and that's, you know, the mildest of spoilers, which technically we didn't lift the spoiler veil or whatever. When she's hallucinating that, like, 1930s era, like, song and dance routine that, like, had heavy Indiana Jones Temple of Doom vibes, they all looked like they were having fun.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see anyone screaming for help with their eyes.
You're right. They did look like they were having fun. That scene was really... That's one of the scenes that I thought was very strange and weird and didn't really... I guess it fits with the chaoticness of the rest of the movie, but it's... I don't know, it was a little bizarre.
Well, the thing is, it didn't overstay its welcome. I mean, what was it? Some total of 10 seconds?
No, I guess it didn't. It was just... There was a... Here's the thing. I feel like this movie... You know how I feel about runtimes in movies. Not really a problem for me, usually. This type of movie could have done well in a tight 90 minutes. I think that would have made this a little bit better. And I do think that you probably could have completely cut out the cop. We'll get into that in post-spoiler territories, but the character is completely unnecessary and doesn't actually do anything for the plot.
I don't know about
it tries to show a side of Gotham in the police station, a little bit of a corruption piece of it, but it's completely unnecessary. It doesn't really fit with the rest of what's going on. This is a story surrounding the criminals, and it should have stayed that way.
I agree that the few times that they tried to use her to like justify like spending time with the police in this story, like giving her a backstory with the ADA and that sort of stuff, like
barely giving her a backstory.
Yeah, like they either should have gone all in or none at all. I'll agree with you on that. I don't mind having the aspect of that the character herself ended up being kind of a nexus for like what was going on. You know, the connection between Canary and Quinn and Huntress and Cassandra Cain, like all of that going down, well, not the Huntress part of it, I guess, but all of that going down at the police station, it only makes really sense if there is someone on the inside that we're seeing. But yeah, getting into the backgrounds of the politics within the Gotham police station, total waste of time. You're right.
Yeah, dumb.
And that time could have been spent with Huntress or honestly just Roman, to give them a little bit more time to do stuff because they were really good in their role and the characters seemed like they were interesting, even though like I want to know a little bit more about what makes Roman tick than I do what makes the cop tick. Or I want to, like, we get the gist of Huntress doing revenge stuff, right? But give us a little bit more time with that. Like, is that character conflicted about what she's doing? Does she get off on the violence? It's just, we got a little bit into it of like, oh, she's super socially awkward. Give me more about that. Why is she super socially awkward? Was it like an Arya Stark type of situation where she grew up in the House of Assassins and she only knows how to be an assassin and like she doesn't want to be, but she feels honor bound to be? Because the montage of her practicing, "Do you know who I am?" or whatever, I can't remember. Was that the line or was it something else?
I think so. No, it was,
or do you know what they call me or something like that? Yeah, do you know who I am? And then interspersing with cuts of, oh my god, it's the crossbow killer, this and that. And then to pay it off later, I thought that really worked well. I thought that was entertaining. But I wish I had more with that character because it just kind of pops in for 30 seconds and then is gone until like the final 20% of the movie.
Yeah, and then crushes her screen time, which is great. But it's I just looked this up real quick because I said the name before of the cop and then I second guessed myself, which is why I kept referring to her as the cop until now. I just looked at Renee Montoya. I just wanted to double check so I didn't have character names screwed up. But that's the cop we were referring to. Do you want to lift the veil?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. One of my favorite things that I just like really entertaining pieces is I love when we hop into her head and she's just talking to you because she's talking to herself in her head, but then finishes the thought to a character on screen. And when it's people that know her, like the guy that makes the big, like the breakfast sandwiches, it's just like, okay, crazy. Like she plays crazy very good.
Yes.
Very well.
Disturbingly well.
Yeah, it's entertaining. Also, if we're talking about good things, the choreography, like 80% of it is awesome.
Yes.
And then 20% of it is it just going on either too long or being redundant. Well,
I know, like, for what works, they brought in the guy who did the stunts and has directed, like, most of the John Wick stuff. Chad Stahelski, I think his name is.
Mm-hmm.
He was the fight coordinator for the first one, and he directed the second and third one. He came in to do the action choreography in this.
Well, one of the things that kind of bothered me about the movie is there's a lot of... I think this had to do with the actual storytelling and the stitching that I was referring to. It seems like they had some ideas for like a cool fight scene or a cool location or thing to do during a fight scene, and then like started there and then tried to weave like, I don't know, a 2-page story in between all of these things. And it's like there just wasn't enough to get across. Like there were characters that they could have actually dove into a little bit and that would have been good. Or like, I don't know, there could have been a plot twist or something. I don't know, it was very, very simple. Very cut and dry. It was like probably could have been in like a one like leaf issue of a comic. Like it was strange. There wasn't enough to keep it going the way that it did, and like the way that it was pieced together, it just kind of there were pacing and jarring issues. There's the shtick of getting to a point of the story that she's telling us and then being like, oh, wait, let me catch you up. And then like jumping back and then doing something in that space and then bringing you back up to speed. That's good once, twice, okay, 3 times, you're getting a little bit too much. But it's got to be a little bit faster. You can't... I feel like if you spend too much time when you jump back and then you catch up and it takes just as much time as it took to get there the first time, that it's like... It's almost as if like they just didn't know how to tell the whole story.
Yeah.
I don't know,
I would say that was the most jarring part of it, because early on, I actually kind of dug the flow of how it was like, oh, we're getting the story, and then we kind of jump around in time a little bit, and she's narrating under or over the events of what's going on. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was actually really tight. Like the way it went down for the first like half hour, maybe, I thought was actually really well done. It was as like we got further from the starting point is where the thing started to get like looser. It's like driving a really old car that's like well maintained, but like then you push it past how fast it's supposed to go, and it starts rattling, and you're like, oh, the like nuts and bolts might start snapping off of this. And I'm not entirely sure how you fix it. I don't know if that was an interference thing. I don't know if it was a script thing where they were, I don't want to say fighting, but like there was disagreement in the writing room, so it was like this and that, and we could shoot it this way. If it was maybe even like a Clue sort of situation where it's like, that's how it could have ended, but this is how it really ended type of situation, and they had to pull stuff and throw some stuff away, because like the overall plot like works more or less, and we are dealing with, I guess, like kind of a certain element of an unreliable narrator, right? Which like even at one point she kind of says, okay, that's not exactly how it happened, and I forgot now what it was, but something later on in the movie I actually thought that's what was going to be. Oh, the part when they track down where she lives and they blow up the apartment, which was like super confusing, because all of a sudden Bruce just runs off and just disappears, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, where did the thing go? And then it like comes back later, and it was like, did they like hem and haw over whether or not to kill Bruce off in that moment, and also why did he run towards the explosion? Literally committed suicide.
Because it was a ball. It looked like a ball.
Sure, I guess that probably makes sense.
And we all know how hyenas love to play fetch.
Yes, of course. And then like she comes downstairs and the guy sold him out, but then like she sells out Cassandra, and I was like, for a minute when they just pause there when she's downstairs, like after everything happened, I thought she was gonna be like, that's not exactly how it happened, and then we're gonna go back and it was gonna be something more serious, and I was like, oh, we kind of left it just like that just happened. Okay.
And that's kind of exactly what I'm talking about with the stitched together. Like, there were set pieces that they wanted to do. It almost seems like they filmed those and then tried to connect them. And one of them is the fight scene in the amusement park, and then she has roller skates on. And there's even a comment as to when did she have time for a shoe change. I was like, come on now.
Well, I think that was another one of those situations where, like, is it feature or bug? You know what I mean? Or, both. Because on the one hand, I took it at face value because, of course, she would just decide to put roller skates on for the fuck of it during the middle of the fight. That was a thing she was doing earlier. And it also kind of tracks with what had happened either right before it or right after it, where one of them just throws a scrunchie to Canary, and she's putting the scrunchie on while fighting. And I was like, oh, those two things kind of track together, right? Like, I need the scrunchie because my hair is blowing all over the place. I kind of like fighting. I'm in my element when I'm doing roller derby stuff. Like, let me showcase that skill one more time on camera. Like, but I also could totally see where it is with you, where it's like, we shot it one way, then we shot it another way, and we decided we prefer it the way with the rollerblades, so we could take 2 seconds to shoot someone asking the question, when did she put those on? Like,
right.
That's not exactly much, like they probably did it on the same day. Like, let's do it all with Harley wearing shoes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it all over again with her wearing,
You know what this
skates.
Is? It's this is a Goosebumps choose your own adventure, and somebody else did it.
Which kind of makes sense, because that's kind of how she is. Like, she's just, she's like the Joker, but not, the Leto Joker, the other one, the better one. Do I look like I've got a plan? I'm just a dog chasing, a truck. I wouldn't know what, like, there is a obvious parallel between the two because the one character kind of created the other, even if it's a spiritually different character. The point is, by whatever version of Joker you have, he has that anarchic situation, and by extension, so does she, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that they didn't stray too far from like the character origin. That's kind of cool. One of the things I really enjoyed about it was like when they started going with the background story, I was like, oh, are they going to skip over the whole part where she was like his shrink? And then gladly they went into that. One of my other favorite things is how she snaps from being completely mental to like a PhD and explain something and then goes right back into it. And I like they only do it once, but it was so good. And it really cracked me up.
Yeah, she literally just like puts on her psychiatrist hat to like, break down someone, and it was like no indication that that's what was coming, and I was like, nice.
I also love how like, some great scene when she's got the dart in her neck and she's passed out, or not passed out, she's like drugged and she's coming to, and halfway there, like when she's halfway back to full body function, that's just a great performance in that scene. Where she's kind of like, what, she's pretty much got full control back, but if you really watch her, not her left arm, like it's just kind of there.
And also the right arm only kind of works because she's just like slapping him.
Yeah.
And then she's just like, was she stabbing him or just punching him like repeatedly?
She was stabbing him with the dart.
Oh, that's right, because he gets, like, the little bit of, like sedative that's left in it, and he's, like, starts slowing down, right?
Yeah. Oh, God. That's so silly.
Also, like, they did wait to pay off some of these jokes. Like I said, the thing with the Huntress, coming back around and all that, with the, do you know who I am? You're the crossbow. No, I'm not the... Do you know who... Oh, you're, what's the name? Was it Bertinelli or something like that?
Yep.
I'm the Huntress, okay? There was another thing, like, several minutes before that, in which, they bought all the laxative and this and that for Cassandra, and they're going through all that, and so I went to see the movie with my sister, and we were sitting there, and after she, like, rats on her and says, like, she's going to give her over to Roman, and, like, between that and her showing up, my sister's like, are they ever going to go and deal with the whole thing about her having to poop the diamond out? And then the very next scene is her being duct taped to a toilet. And I was like, you know what? Way to stick with that.
I have a lot of issues with the movies, but there's a lot of fun stuff in it. I just don't think it all works together. I think there's pieces of it that are good.
Well, that's why I said I think fun is a much more accurate description than good.
That's fair.
The thing is, I do agree to a certain extent. Like, it feels like they wrote a couple of big situations or set pieces or whatever. I think, like I said, because it felt kind of cohesive at the beginning, it felt like they mapped out the storyline and wrote the first act and then started filming and didn't ever commit to a script beforehand. And, like, we were just like, well, we'll just kind of write it as we go along. And they kind of ran out of time with it. Because this movie doesn't get made without Margot Robbie. Like, if she doesn't decide wholeheartedly that she wanted to do this movie, it never happens. Right. So there's an element of her kind of own star power dragging this kicking and screaming. And like the studio wants it to happen, but it never would have happened without her committing 110%, which, you see on screen. Like you said, she totally owns this role. And I think it ends up being kind of both a blessing and a curse because like some of those times where we're saying it just hit like an absolute dead zone, or like what is going on here exactly? That time would have been better spent with other people. Instead, it was spent with her. And if she's propelling the story, or if we're getting any attempt at her, like, because she goes through her own personal journey in the course of the movie, right? Mm-hmm. Like she ends up a quote unquote better person at the end of it, or whatever. But we never really see her deciding to do that until the very end,
right?
Like, those things should have been going on sporadically throughout the movie. Because if not, then all of those more slow and or contemplative moments aren't really contemplating anything.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. I will say that the finale on that pier. First off, fog out of nowhere for the sake of the scene. Classic movie. That's, like, there was no fog. Now there's only fog. Love it.
It also felt specifically classic, like, comic book movie because...
Oh, yeah.
Like, didn't that exact thing happen in Mask of the Phantasm?
Oh, yeah. But, I mean,
Like-
the Phantasm also did, like, that smoke thing.
Sure, that too, but also there was just fog at other times as well.
Yeah,
like when there wasn't
that's true.
5 minutes before.
That is true. When she shoots, like, when she's, like all justice, and she shoots... and then remembers that there's only one bullet left in the gun, and goes, damn it. Like, I thought that really got me. There's certain things like that make me chuckle, and the execution there was pretty solid.
You know what I think happened in that fight scene was they realized, okay, we need her to be wearing the skates for the big chase scene, and we don't really have a great time for her to put them on, so let's just make it into a joke. Like, it's gonna have to happen at some point, and we're not gonna pause the action in the middle of a shootout for her to put the skates on. So we're just gonna cut back. The skates are gonna be on, and it's a joke, and that's it. Just fucking deal with it.
Yeah, well, they made me deal with it, so.
But, like, on the other hand, in this sort of movie, like, it's not really offensive. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of the
I don't. For some reason, if you do more things like that, or, like, consistently do things like that, it would have worked. But because it was the one thing, and it really felt like it validated my issues with other things that were going on in the movie, like I was saying, of, like, stitching it together. Like, that one very blatant piece being so vivid, I think that's why it bothered me so much.
You know, I guess it could have made for a funny running joke if just periodically
she just had them on.
She just had them on,
Absolutely.
and there was no explanation for it. Because then,
or you like, and you're wondering the whole time, does she have them on? Because
one of two things. Well, it could be that, or it could be: is this intentional? Was this an accidental thing? Was this actually they shot a bunch of these scenes both ways? And the best takes were one and then the other, and we're just gonna and play it as a joke? Or is it gonna be an intentional, we're fucking with your head thing? Like, is this, like you said, is this really happening? Or were they doing this intentionally? Like, am I supposed to buy into the fact that we're just gonna keep doing it? Like, kind of the way it would almost take on the quality of, like, video games, where, you know, you can hit, like, a quick button that, like, toggles something like that on or off, and there's never, like, an animation of them. Like, it's a thing that happens in games now, right? Where sometimes, like, you'll be like, oh, like, let's say you're doing, like a Call of Duty type game. Like, sometimes you hit a button and you see them grab, like, night vision goggles and put them on, right? And it doesn't ever break it. Like, we didn't dig in our pack for it, but it's like, oh, they were on the top of my head, pulled them onto my face, this happened, immersion, right?
Right.
And then there's other times, especially in older video games, right, where you toggle the
your
button.
gun just changes, or
yeah. There's no animation of you holstering the gun and pulling it, or you're carrying 37 guns, and like how can you even walk? Like, this isn't Death Stranding. You can just walk, apparently. Or like, think about, like, OG Pokemon, right? Like, you hit the select button, and all of a sudden the bike just pops out from underneath you.
Yep.
But instead it's rollerblades. That could have been a really funny thing of, like, what's going on here?
They shoot the movie twice. Once
just select scenes. It doesn't have to be every scene.
No rollerblades, and then randomly decide different showings, Clue style, which one.
So we were talking last week about that reboot of Clue, and what we realized is we just needed to reboot Clue with Harley Quinn.
Yes,
which
perfect. We nailed it.
Like, again, anarchy is at the heart of her character, right?
She could totally be the singing telegram. I think that would work perfect. That needs to be, if they do a singing telegram in the Clue movie, it needs to be a tremendous cameo for that scene alone.
Be funny. That's the type of thing they would do.
Couple things about, Ewan McGregor, crazy man, psycho, seems to be having a really good time, plays the psycho part really well. When he snaps and, like, his insecurities kick in, it is electric. Like, I'm terrified. And, like, when he has the girl stand on the table, I was like, this is a different movie than what we're watching.
Yeah, it's funny, like, there was this, like, whole thing where it's like, he just had, him and Zaz, actually, both the character, him and Chris Messina, who, whatever I see him in, I'll always think of him as fucking douchey-ass Reese from The Newsroom. But seeing him here in a blonde or like bleached white like buzz cut really threw me off, and also like borderline mentally slow. Like I'm thinking like Baby Driver, was he slow?
Yeah.
But also psychotic, and there are definitely like vibes between the two of them where like there's a 99% chance that they're together. These like psychotic henchman couple thing is a little. It's quite a dynamic. And like you said, they're like kind of like it's like super campy. Like both of them are just going all in on the camp, and then flip the switch, and it's like, oh, you actually are scary now that you flip the switch. Like I'm not laughing at you anymore. It's like that is actually pretty menacing. I don't like that. Let's peel their faces off. What?
What? And then
I've decided I'm not going to do it to you. You know, we don't really. Oh my god, is that a snot bubble? I've changed my mind.
Ew, gross. And the gross thing came up so many times.
Yeah.
He would think, and then he thinks it's funny that things are so gross, and he'd be like, "Ooh," and he'd like stay away from that. He was wacky. One thing that they could have done, and I really expected it, and then I'm happy they did it the way they did. When they pull the pin on the grenade and he goes off the pier, I was in my mind there was no way we were seeing anything else. We were just going to hear the explosion. That was going to be it. When they turn the camera, they swoop the camera around, and they show you him explode into pieces. I was like, good choice. Like that was really good. I really didn't see it coming.
It was one of the few times that they really leaned into going hard R with this, like, because like it could have gone away. Like you said something about like there being like discrepancy with rating or whatever. Like I would have assumed it could have been PG-13 because there wasn't like a ton of blood, or at least
that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I was thinking. I don't remember blood. The only blood I remember was is kind of in the distance when the face is peeled off, him being blown up, and when one guy gets shot in the head. Other than that, I don't remember there really being. Oh, and when the family gets murdered.
Some of it was a little cartoony. Well, yeah, some of it was cartoony. Some of it wasn't really like that bad. The thing is, like, they do basically show you him slicing off a person's face, and then they cut away from it. But like, you do see the beginning of the process going on, and then they do it to a small girl. But also, the other thing was like they also, human leg getting chewed on by a hyena.
Yeah.
Which again, kind of CGI cartoony, whatever. There's a healthy amount of F-bombs thrown around in this, though.
That's probably what actually pushed it.
Yeah.
It was language.
Yeah, because I think if you had just the level of violence that was in it, probably would have been PG-13. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also think that's probably why this movie isn't performing well, because like it's not that much less good than like Deadpool 1 or 2. It just doesn't have the exact same. I mean, hell, it borrows liberally from those movies, which is why I even brought it up. When you compare like the stylized like graphical violence, the fourth wall breaking, the whole like the snarky attitude, the narration aspect of it, and all that. There's a lot of similarities between this and Deadpool. I think,
but Deadpool leans heavy into the R rating.
Yes, but there's two things that are happening. One, I think that had a more natural draw to adult audiences, and there's a lot of reasons, both fine and not so fine, for why that would be. I think, that hard R superhero movie about a bunch of women characters isn't going to draw as well as a Ryan Reynolds Deadpool vehicle. Like, Deadpool is a particularly beloved character. I think if this one had an acceptable Joker in it as well, it would have drawn better.
What if it wasn't like focused on being about the birds of prey, and we really just focused on Harley Quinn?
Well, I think that's why they changed the name. But the thing is, the movie was like 90% focused on her.
It was. Well, there's I don't know. Deadpool. He's in the movie like the entire time. Like, she is in the movie 90% of the time. But
yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, it clearly is like there's a bigger story there of like the group kind of coming together, or like these friends and like these strong female characters and like coming together and like taking down the bad guys.
But that was in the marketing material. The runtime doesn't actually stay true to that.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. It's in
the other
there
thing
sporadically, though, which hurts it a little bit. The way that. But
the thing is, you only know that once you've sat down in a seat after you've bought a ticket. You don't know that going into it.
That's okay. That's true. That's true.
And the other thing is, because it's rated R, if you don't have the automatic draw of the adult audience, you're not getting the young audience like an Avengers would,
right?
Or Spider-Man or whatever. Like you, for a lot of different reasons, like you said, marketing is what held this movie back. There's the confusion within the marketing strategy. There's, at times, I didn't think it was too egregiously, but I think you're right that there has to have been some sort of studio meddling in the course of the making of this movie. Although the movie overall has actually been reviewed well, so that shouldn't really be a thing that's affecting audiences. And then the fact that, what is your target audience and are they going to show up for it? And I don't think they did a good job of identifying that.
Right.
Because if you're doing your marketing properly, you realize, oh, we're not going to get a 1-to-1 correlation of the Deadpool audience. Can we afford to go full-blown R on this, or do we need to back it down to a PG-13 to attract a wider audience?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that is what it is.
Yeah. We didn't talk much about Canary. I think she was a cool character.
Yes.
Well, it's funny because I'm just coming off of, I finally finished. Did I tell you I finished Arrow?
No. I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago, and you said you still had some catching up to do. So
I finished that. It was a series that should have ended 3 seasons ago, but it was fun. The ending was good enough. But it's interesting because I don't know much about I know a lot of these characters from that show because I started that show, whatever it was, 8 years ago, and really got into it. Like there's a bunch of characters that I only knew about, I knew them from the Marvel card or the DC and Marvel cards that I had, and things like that. There's characters that I'm aware of. I know of them through my buddy Thomas, my old neighbor, who would lend me comics and tell me about all these stories and all this stuff. But then seeing them on screen was sometimes my first introduction to that character. So Black Canary was one of the characters in Arrow, played by a couple different people over time. It's played by, which I thought was what's funny to me, because I also know how comic book universes work, and how you'll reboot a series and a different character will be that hero, or the character will change over time, or the character will move from one to a parent to a child. It's all, comics are all over the place. It's kind of why they're fun. But in Arrow is Laurel Lance was the Black Canary, and then later on in the series, Dinah, not Lance, Dinah, I don't remember her name, she wasn't related, became Black Canary. And in this movie, Dinah Lance is Black Canary. And I was my head was spinning, and I was all these characters. And I was when's she gonna scream at people? And then when the movie's going on and on, I almost forgot that that's who she was as a character. And then when we were in that hallway, I was oh, it's gonna happen now. And then it happened, and I was yeah. And then she fell over, and I was I like that we're where we're gonna introduce metahumans, if you want to do that and really blow the lid off this place, let's do it.
Yeah, I was not prepared for that, because this whole movie has been playing it straight. And like I said, in my mind, I have more or less scrubbed the Suicide Squad from my memory of it where it pertains to this, right? Because they're not carrying through any threads other than her relationship with Joker. Not in any meaningful way. Mm-hmm. So when that happened, all of a sudden I was oh, that was unexpected. And again, I was wondering if that was going to be a time where they were going to take the opportunity for her to be no, that would have been cool though. And then rewind it and then show us what actually happened. You know what I mean? Or honestly, just for her to because she broke the glass. I was she's going to just do a thing where she's going to sing and it's going to break a glass and distract someone. You know what I mean? Not full blown sonic waves thing.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't sure if they were actually going to go into it, or if it was just, or I thought maybe the glass breaking was just a little nod to the powers that character has.
Well, looking back,
and that they wouldn't do it, but then they went they went all
I didn't
in.
know that was a thing for that character because I'm much more well versed on Marvel characters than I am on DC characters, especially when it comes to kind of like lower level characters like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall I thought she was good. I didn't realize that actress could sing like that. I didn't realize that she's been a really famous actress for a long time. She was a child actress who apparently still gets recognized for playing one of the friends on Full House, like as like a little girl.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Well, that's her?
Yes.
Oh my god!
So I was looking up because I didn't know how to pronounce her last name actually, and so I went to look up online and I saw like recently she's done a bunch of like Conan and Kimmel and all those sorts of things or whatever.
Oh my god!
And I forget which like Late Show or whatever she was on, and she was saying how and like they showed a picture of her as like a little kid. I was like, oh wow, that's cool, and they're like. She's like, yeah, people still see me on the street and just be like, oh my god, and I forgot the character's name. She's like, what's her name from Full House? And Denise, sure. And she's like, it's been 25 years. How do you still recognize me? She goes like, I feel like I look a little different by now.
Well, she totally does, and I would have never called it out, but now that you said it, I could see her face.
Yeah.
As a child on that show. That's awesome. Oh, that's so much fun.
Well, it's funny. I know who she is because she was in like 2 seasons of Friday Night Lights. Like towards the end of the run of that show. So that's what I knew her from already. So I kind of knew what to expect. But I didn't know she could sing. I don't think I remember her singing on that show. So I was like, oh shit, she's got a really nice voice.
She was also in Parenthood.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, Anthony probably remembers her from that because she was in like several episodes, right?
Yeah.
But I never watched that show, so.
I'm trying to see what else. Yeah, she's been in a lot of stuff. That's funny. That the Full House thing really that really blew my mind. That's awesome. Random note I have down here, which is it's just why the hyena was a question mark. Counterpoint: naming him Bruce after that hunky rich guy. Awesome.
Yeah. Now, did you stay through the credits?
Yeah.
I didn't. I looked ahead and I saw what it was. I still think it's funny, even though I didn't stick around for it.
Can you? It is. She does get cut off talking, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure.
No, that was intentional.
Okay, because
at least that's my.
It was funny because like, as it happened, the lights went on and the doors opened. So I wasn't sure if they actually like it didn't like fully end. That's why I wasn't sure if like if it got cut off or if the intention was that it gets cut off. But
yeah, no, she gets cut off. It's funny. There are some stupid little like the scene when they go shopping and she's like, like how do you like afford all this? She goes, afford it. We're robbing the store. And it's just like wild laughter between the two of them. She runs over some poor old guy who's got nothing to do with it. I thought the relationship between her and the Chinese food guy was really sweet until he sold her out. Mm-hmm. And circling back around, just as the movie does, the whole thing with the egg sandwich was great.
Yeah,
like
the egg sandwich was tremendous.
I thought they were gonna go full blown like when Harry Met Sally, when she's like, because they have like the wind blowing her back her hair as she's thinking about the sandwich, and then they turn it into like a part of the whole chase sequence, which is great. And she like, I remember like as it goes on in the beginning, I'm like, oh my god, did she? And my sister goes, yep, she stuffed it down her shirt. I was like, okay, so I didn't like imagine that she like tucked it back in and then shoved it into her bra.
Yeah.
Just so we're on the same page. Runs through it, and I'm like, why are you taking the sandwich out 1 block away from the whole thing? And then her like crying, like, this is my rock bottom.
So the scene where both her hands are out, clenched fist, and she's screaming. That's from the trailer, and I was like, "Oh, okay, so they're gonna kill a character, and it's gonna be really emotional." And then when it's an egg sandwich, I was like, "Yes." Also, I felt the same way when I saw that egg sandwich at the floor because it looked delightful.
Yeah, I mean, it looked great, and I don't even like runny eggs, and I still thought it looked great. But between that, it was funny. There was a few trailers lying to us, or parts of the trailer lying to us, because I thought they were gonna go full blown. We're killing the Joker off by her driving the truck into the thing, and then it was just like we're killing off the idea of him, which is such a cop out just to keep their options open. But the thing is, these are comic books. People survive those sorts of things all the time.
Yeah,
you could have committed to the bit while still bringing him back, and it wouldn't have been like a foul play in this sort of situation. You know what I mean? Like, that's totally a thing that happens in comics. So I would prefer they stuck to their guns on that.
You know what's kind of cool? Maybe maybe a little hint of the John Wick action in here too. I liked the idea of like everybody finding out that they're not together anymore, and then like she's excommunicado. Like that was, and like everybody's after that.
Yes.
That was cool for a second, but I feel like they kind of just let it drift off. I know that she like makes a deal, and we find out that he has power, and he could like on a dime, people will turn and be like, I will do, they're just doing what he says. They show that a lot at the end when he has got the mask on, he's rallying all the people. The black mask, the actual mask, well done. Great costume.
Although it was a little creepy in the like that hallucinated thing, like the mask he's wearing there had like, it was like, was it diamond encrusted or like rhinestone encrusted? It
was like electric tape with bedazzled like dots on it.
Well, I'm like, someone absolutely owns that mask for like S&M stuff. Like, that's what that mask is. But
yeah,
God. I thought some of those things were a little odd, but I get where it's coming from. Mm-hmm. It's just let's throw some things at the wall and see what sticks. Like,
yeah,
it's some funny shit. It's funny you mentioned like the John Wick thing, because like we said, just from some of the action sequences, like the thing in like the police station in like the lockup area, the stuff where she's fighting through like the evidence locker, like definitely some John Wick stuff. We already mentioned some Deadpool stuff. There was a little bit of a Guardians of the Galaxy thing going on with the musical cue stuff, which is also kind of funny because I said from the first time I saw the first trailer from Suicide Squad, they're going for a Guardians of the Galaxy thing here, and then they just totally fumbled. There's also kind of a Scott Pilgrim thing going on where she ran into like a new bad guy, and like they flashed like the title card with like, who it is, what's their grievance. The grievance with Roman was incredible, where like it starts listing like one serious thing, and then it was like cycling through a couple of serious things, and then they're getting
frame
more
by
ridiculous, and then they're going like so fast that you can't read them anymore, and I want someone to get me a video of that slowed down so I can see all of them.
Exactly. Yep. We need the frame by frame so that we can see each, because they're all written. They're there. Like you can almost make them out. They're just not there fast, like long enough for you to read them. It's great.
Absolutely.
There was one in there that cracked me up, but I can't remember what it was.
Me too. I'm going through the exact same thing right now. I'm trying to like see if I talk my way through it, like if I'll remember what it was. But there was one of them that I was like, come on. Like it's funny, but come on.
There, another movie.
Oh, what was? One of them was voted for Bernie.
Yes,
that was one of them. But there was another one that I found even funnier. I don't remember what it was, but that was one of the ones that I was like,
That's funny. Another movie influence. There was almost a shot-for-shot remake of a Boondock Saints scene early on when Montoya's going through the crime scene and is in the scene while it's happening and also talking through it. And to the point where it was early on in the movie, I was like, I know what this is. Like, are they going to do this the whole movie? Because if so, that's not your idea.
But, I mean, it's not like they get to own that forever, but like, you have to come up with new or better way, or at least a reason to do it.
Well, I think that it was just so on the nose. It was like exactly the scene from Boondock Saints. But
there was a firefight. Now, if Rosie Perez did that, nothing.
I love Willem Dafoe. Also,
well, I think we've added now officially Ewan McGregor to the Hugo Weaving, Willem Dafoe.
He's on the list.
He's in that pantheon. Who was the one we came up with a few weeks ago who were like, we need more of this guy? There was someone within the last 6 weeks that we did that we were like, we need to add this person to.
Man.
You come up with your next idea. I'm going to look back through the episode, see if I can remember who it was.
Okay. One cool thing, we were in, I think it's in Harley Quinn's apartment, and the TV's on in the background. I think it's her apartment. Oh no, it's not. It's Montoya's apartment. When she's drunk and gets the call, and then she sobers up, I guess, to get there. Well, not really. They call her out for being drunk. But anyway, when she's leaving the room, there's a really quick sliver of a shot where behind her TV is on, and it's the Joker from the Batman, like the 60s series.
Oh, was that really?
It's a clip from the show, I'm pretty sure. Huh. I don't know. It's like when he basically has like the dunce hat like the Joker Dunce hat, and he's like got like the ruffled neck, and he's like doing like he's doing something ridiculous on TV. But it's just a clip from like that from the show. It's pretty. I thought that was a nice little like they little squeeze of the Joker into it. I also liked. Completely glossed over this. The opening was tremendous. The animated opening, or the animated, yes. I don't know if it was the opening or a little bit later, but like the history, and like that was really well done. I like that a lot.
I enjoyed that. I thought that was well done. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was like, it just gave us a little bit of that thing, and it's like, okay, we can do that. All right, I'm on board. I was a fan.
The last piece that I'll say is we didn't really touch on it too much, but you brought him up, but Victor Zsasz. It was an interesting take on the character. I think he did a decent enough job. The only problem is, and this is the problem with a lot of these things, where multiple people have had a chance to play a character before that you're obviously going to compare them against each other and like their rendition of the character. On Gotham, the TV show, Anthony Carrigan plays Victor Zsasz, and
does he really?
He is amazing. He's just amazing so in general. Good. I only saw a few episodes of Barry, but he was awesome, and he's so funny.
I can't even remember his name of the character in that, but he's so funny in that. He's one of the best things about that show.
Oh my god, he's great. But as Zsasz, he's awesome.
So awesome. I don't know who the character is supposed to be. If it's supposed to be a little bit more ridiculous like that or not, but he plays a henchman, a second in command, pretty well, I guess.
He's like super intense, and he's killed a lot of people, and with each person that he kills, he makes a mark.
NoHo Hank, that's his name.
But he was cool.
Is that what that was? Because when that was going on, I wasn't sure. I was like, is he scratching himself? Or is that a tattoo? I can't exactly tell.
No, they're cuts. You know what I'm thinking about now is I've got to pull up a picture. I don't remember that actually being a thing with the Zsasz and the Gotham show though.
Oh no. See, I didn't realize that was like a major character in any sort of DC thing, but I'm not surprised, but I didn't know anything about. I'd never heard of Zsasz before.
It's definitely a thing with the character. I just think it's. Oh, you know what? I wonder if maybe there's I never finished Gotham. He's always kind of dressed up, like covered up to the neck with whatever, like almost like a turtleneck style, like he's long sleeves, long pants. He's probably got the cuts underneath, and I assume that in some episode or another, he takes his shirt off and he's got like all these gashes. Oh, I would guess, but I didn't get there if that's the case. But he's also on Gotham. I love how campy Gotham is. It really reminds me of the '80s Batman. I gotta go back and finish that.
It's funny. It looked too campy for me. I never had any interest.
Yeah, it's definitely on like the Schumacher side of things more than the Burton side of things.
Okay. But actually, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Oh, it's not a good thing. Maybe it's Batman. Batman Forever. It's hard to say. Batman Forever is very over the top as well.
Yeah.
So it's not there. I guess it's in between. Like, it's somewhere between Forever and Returns.
But like, I like Batman Forever.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
The thing is, like, I actually thought that the camp was at a decent level in this movie. The thing is, it's so particular. Like, there's sometimes where I love it, and there's other times where I'm just like, that's a huge turnoff for me, and I have no interest.
Mm-hmm. I think it has to do with the confidence of going into it.
Yeah.
Doing it right. The consistency.
That's fair.
Yeah. Did you figure out who we were trying to add?
I can't remember.
Damn. That's a shame.
I know, I'm pissed
too. We'll see that character, we'll see that actor or actress in something. I'm going to say actor from here on out. Because I'm tired of doing actor or actress, and now at the awards, like the SAG Awards, they say actor for both. So can we just agree that we can say actor now? Is that cool or no?
I mean, I'm fine with that. I don't know if anyone else is.
I want to be clear that I'm being inclusive with the word. I'm not just saying specifically. Whoever the actor is, I don't remember if it was a man or a woman.
Well, it's something I've actually seen in a handful of like video games and like sci-fi and or fantasy things recently. Because I noticed they've been doing it in Star Wars at least in Resistance, they were doing it. I know they've done it in Dragon Age. There's one other thing that I've seen it in, I don't remember what now, where in like military ranks or like talking about like royalty or whatever, they just use sir for everyone. Man and woman. Everyone is a sir. It's just a title of you are my superior. And I was like, you know what? That's a smart way to get just making it a totally neutral title of respect is a smart way to cut through all the crap, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. It's just a thing. I want to be clear. Like, it could have been a man or a woman. I don't remember who we were talking about.
I think it was a man. Because the thing is, I think we've actually done it twice in somewhat recent time. But the one we did more recently, I think, was a man. But yeah, we did a few months. Well, one of them recently we did was character actress Margot Martindale. I know we mentioned her, but there was someone else too. A man who we were saying we need to include into the pantheon of give us more of him, whether it be leading role or not. I don't care. Just give us more.
Yeah. Well, anyway, any other notes before we close this out?
No, I think I got it all. Sweet.
Well, that's all for this week's episode of Flix and a Six. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you have a movie for us to review or nuggets for us to discuss, you can send those requests to flixandasix@spintune.com or tweet us at @thespintune. Tune in next week for more movie and beer goodness. Until then, I'm Anthony Costanzo.
And I'm Al Bielsi.
Thanks for coming out.